Jurassic Park is just one example of what could happen if dinosaurs were still around.
Not all of them are accurate to paleontology. The Jurassic Park, this scenario is unrealistic.
And you won't find too many people sad that they don't still walk among us. We'd be fighting for our lives every day.
Dude, those dinosaurs, they are still animals, and they will have animalistic behavior. Well, unless if it's an artificially created, genetically modified thing, like Ingenspino, that hybrid known as the Indominus Rex.
But as it turns out, some animals are even
This is just making me laugh, to be honest.
scarier. From arthropod fish with powerful bites to a meat-eating lizard.
What are you implying here? Did you just pretend that a monitor lizard does not exist?
Here are 15 animals that were scarier than dinosaurs. Number 15. The Cthulhu.
What? Holy. There is no warning to this. 15 animals that were scarier than dinosaurs. Number 15, you just started with a fictional creature thingy. Whatever that is. Cthulhu. This is going to turn out amazing.
There's no doubt in our minds that the Cthulhu would have been scarier than the dinosaur. But fortunately, this animal is fictional.
Why did you put Cthulhu in anyway? That almost gave me a heart attack.
The Cthulhu is a godlike monster that was invented by H.P. Lovecraft, a 20th century horror writer. The terrifying, powerful, chaotic, and destructive creature is one of your nightmares.
This is one of the funniest and cringiest starts of a video that I've ever seen.
It has cephalopodic and anthropoidic qualities, an upper body not dissimilar from man, and webbed wings on its back. It also has dangerously sharp claws on its arms and legs. But let's not forget its head, and that's what makes it far more terrifying than dinosaurs.
How do you even compare Cthulhu to a dinosaur when it comes to scariness? This doesn't add up.
The Cthulhu's head is a large, pulsating sac with tentacles sprouting from where you'd typically expect to see a mouth. Standing at hundreds of feet tall, but able to change its body size, this creature is a pure nightmare.
This is not something you would see from nightmares unless if you are a Cthulhu fanatic. No offense to anyone who likes Cthulhu.
But even if its appearance is enough to make you run away screaming, that's not the only reason why it's scarier than your average T-Rex. The Cthulhu has crazy powers that no human would ever be able to combat. Cthulhu is immortal and can endure a lot of damage.
Okay, so at least you'd most likely die without feeling pain. That's cool.
It can only be defeated by near omnipotent force. Because it has wings, it can also fly, and it's both intelligent and can communicate with telepathy. There's no way our weaponry would be a match for this animal. Number 14. Dunkleosteus.
This narrator sounds awesome bro to me, which adds to the cringeness of this paleontology video that started with Cthulhu.
We all know that the great white shark is a scary animal that we don't like getting too close to. If we do, who knows whether we'd make it back to shore alive? Our guess is no.
Well, contrary to popular belief, sharks aren't that dangerous, especially compared to stuff like elephants. Sharks don't cause a lot of deaths each year, and sharks just tend to not attack humans, and even if they attack humans, they probably mistake the humans as seals.
But did you know there used to be a fish that was far more dangerous than the great white and potentially every other dinosaur?
It's in the waters. How do you even compare?
The Dunkleosteus is a fish we're so pleased no longer exists.
Slicing through it, chainmail and all.
The Dunkleosteus lived during the Devonian period, which is around 380 million years ago. It was a placoderm, which is an arthropod fish.
Arthropod fish. You're confusing arthropoda with Arthrodira, which is part of the placoderms.
And it was the top predator of the Paleozoic era.
It was the apex predator of its ecosystem. Paleozoic spans from Cambrian to the Permian. Apex predators will change through time.
We've got no reason to doubt that, for this fish grew to around 33 feet long.
Which by current paleontology standards is completely ridiculous.
Longest Dunkleosteus individual is just around 13.5 feet long.
Perhaps how this fish managed to be at the top of the food chain was due to its armor plating.
Also because it was very big for its time.
It was an arthrodire, which is part of the Placodermi family. It was able to protect itself far better than many other fish in the ocean. But that's not all this fish had up its sleeves. Gills. It also had one of the most powerful bites, even more so than the great white. Number 13. Jackalopterus.
It's not scarier than a dinosaur when it's just like 2.3 to 2.6 meters long, which is so short compared to the likes of Spino.
Did you know that there are more people scared of scorpions in the world than spiders? Those people will surely be grateful that the Jackalopterus no longer exists.
It's not an actual scorpion.
Described as a sea scorpion, it could be large as a human hand or as giant as a human.
Jackalopterus fernandii was a large arthropod living hundreds of millions of years ago.
More specifically, it lived from 410.8 to 402.5 million years ago.
Basically, it was the sea creature of your nightmares.
It doesn't look like a nightmare fuel, at least to me.
The Jackalopterus existed around 431 to 418 million years ago,
Which is not correct.
which places it in the Silurian time period. Their fossils were first discovered by a fossil collector in 1818, S.L. Mitchell, and they were found to have lived widely across the northern hemisphere. They had a 6-segmented body, 2 large eyes, 2 small eyes, and a mouth on the bottom of its head.
Now, off topic. Who is the most awesome bro narrator that I have reviewed so far? Definitely not Brightside, but this guy is definitely a contender, along with JFC's narrator, and maybe some other videos that I reviewed.
It also had a giant pair of pincers, not all too dissimilar to a lobster, today's scorpion, or a crab. They would use these to capture and tear apart their prey. They would have breathed through gills in their abdominal area, and their tail, while scorpion-like, didn't seem to contain any venom. History tells us that the Jackalopterus died off during the Permian extinction period.
What? It already went extinct in the early Devonian.
Which saw the extinction of around 95 to 96% of all marine life. Number 12. Helicoprion. The Helicoprion has been one of the unknowns of the ancient marine world for several years.
What? What do you mean by that? I'm so confused. This paleontology video is just extremely confusing. First we have Cthulhu, and then you said that the Jackalopterus went extinct in the Permian period. Permian extinction event, sorry. This is just extremely confusing. Also off topic a bit. I saw a hammerhead shark when I was searching Helicoprion on Google on my iPhone.
But even though we don't know everything about it, what we do know is that it's far scarier than any dinosaur ever was.
It doesn't look scary, it's just freaky and not scary.
Helicoprion is like no other shark in the world ever.
And we can figure that out by its teeth alone. Many fossils of the Helicoprions have been found since the 1800s, but the majority have included a buzzsaw-like set of teeth that has left a big question mark over its anatomy. Where do these teeth sit? Are they for show or for eating?
Eating. They have teeth for a reason, you know? To chew on whatever food that they may want to eat.
Several experts have sketched different theories of where the teeth would have featured on the Helicoprion's body, even its tail, but none seemed entirely plausible.
I heard that theory and I was like, what on earth? How would someone even think of that?
What they've now been able to work out, though, is that the Helicoprion was around 25 feet long and had a circular saw-like mouth with teeth that rotated back in its mouth. Given the abundance of soft-bodied cephalopods of that era around 270 million years ago,
which is at the time when Helicoprion finally became extinct.
This dental pattern would have been quite helpful to have. Getting bitten by a shark would be painful enough, but a shark-like fish with a circular saw in its mouth? Pure torture. Number 11. Lyopleuroda.
Okay, so this Lyopleurodon looks not great, but at least you're not using that 25-meter Lyopleurodon from Walking with Dinosaurs. That is just meme material.
The Lyopleurodon is an animal that sends shivers up your...
Now you're using that 25-meter Lyopleurodon. Absolutely crazy.
Your spine just looking at pictures of it. But imagine if it were still here today. It is undoubtedly far scarier than any...
Oh my god, look at this 25-meter Lyopleurodon just effortlessly going to drown a dinosaur.
Dinosaur, that's for sure. The Lyopleurodon was thought to exist around 166.1 to 139.8 million years ago.
Did it even live for that long? It lived from 166 to 155 million years ago.
It was a marine reptile known as a plesiosaur, but it was not a dinosaur. The first fossil of it was found in 1873.
Okay, so it was only described in 1873. It was found all the way back from 1824. However, they assign the fragmentary fossils to different genus, different species.
What scientists have managed to find out so far is that it was around 20 feet long, had a short neck, and could weigh as much as 150 tons.
Which is based on that crazy 25-meter Lyopleurodon.
It also had giant teeth with jaws as long as almost 10 feet and flippers as long as 13 feet. It most commonly featured in waters around Europe and was found in large numbers during the Jurassic period. The Lyopleurodon most likely behaved in the same way as apex predator sharks, which definitely makes us glad it went the way of the dinosaurs.
What do you mean? Also, if it behaved like a shark, then it probably wouldn't even attack humans at all. And even if they do, they'd mistake human for seal.
It may have swum at depth, looked for silhouettes of animals or humans on the surface, then attacked with deadly force. We need to send a gift hamper to whoever gave this creature its marching orders. Number 10. Sarcosuchus.
Okay, so judging by this video's trajectory, I predict that this guy is going to call Sarcosuchus a crocodile.
Crocodiles are terrifying enough, what with their giant teeth, huge jaws, and massive bodies. But did you know there used to be something much larger? The Sarcosuchus was a relative of the croc that used to grow up to around 31.2 feet long.
Now I'm going to correct this guy if I haven't already. The Sarcosuchus is a crocodilomorph, and its appearance is more based on that of the gharial.
and weighed nearly 5 short tons.
This was the largest crocodile ever known to have lived.
Okay, so I kinda predicted that correctly. Not even a crocodilian. That Sarcosuchus is not a crocodilian.
Their snout made up around 75% of their jaw length, with 35 teeth on each side. This awful creature lived around 133 to 112 million years ago in Africa and South America.
Okay, so is this just a regular croc or something? Or is this just Sarcosuchus, but I don't think that's Sarcosuchus.
During the early Cretaceous period. The first remains of the Sarcosuchus were discovered in 1946, and almost an entire skull was found in 1964. Still, it wasn't until 2000 that scientists began piecing together the whole crocodile. Based on their teeth and snout, scientists believe the Sarcosuchus would have fed on large prey like dinosaurs.
Okay. So, you're just nabbed that from Planet Dinosaur, right?
And that they took around 60 years to grow to adult size. Imagine waiting until your retirement years to reach adulthood. It's hard enough coexisting.
Now, what you're showing here is a crocodilian doing a death roll. Sarcosuchus, judging by its anatomy, cannot do the death roll.
With the crocodiles and alligators we have now, imagine living with one as giant as the Sarcosuchus. Number 9. Mosasaurus. The lizards we have today generally dine on small animals and plants. The likelihood of being eaten by a lizard is slim to none. But there once was a lizard that could have, and there's no doubt in our minds that it was scarier than dinosaurs.
There are literally modern-day lizards that eat meat. Take the monitor lizard, for example.
We're pleased it went the way of the dinosaurs. This lizard was the Mosasaurus, and its name means Muse lizard, which refers to the river where it was first found. It lived during the late Cretaceous time period, which was about 70 to 66 million years ago.
Didn't it also live from 82 million years ago? Also, this video is getting more and more confusing and more cringe by every second.
They fed on sharks, plesiosaurs, other mosasaurs like it, large fish, and seabirds. Given that they could reach lengths of up to 56 feet.
More recent estimates put it at just 43 feet.
It's likely they could have dined on humans if given a chance.
Only if they're hungry.
From what we see in their fossils, they had barrel-shaped bodies, large eyes, and giant conical teeth. They also lived close to the surface of the ocean so that they could prey on birds, fish, turtles, and more. The Mosasaurus was the last of its kind, and for that, we're thankful. We can't imagine sharing our rivers and beaches with this monster.
It's an animal, not a monster. How many times do I have to say it already? Absolutely crazy.
Number 8. Megalodon. Dozens of people are attacked by sharks, often unprovoked, every year.
Yes, because they were mistaken as seals. A shark wouldn't normally attack a human.
While only a handful of those attacks are fatal, could you imagine how different those statistics would be if the Megalodon was still around?
It's just a movie, I swear to God. Sharks and even Megalodon are not that bloodthirsty.
The Megalodon existed around 23 to 3.6 million years ago during the early Miocene and Pliocene period. It was from the extinct family called Otodontidae. It's related to the great white shark, but is the final chronospecies of the giant shark family.
What do you mean proto-species? I'm so confused.
We're so happy to hear that. The Megalodon was the biggest shark ever to exist in the ocean and was one of the largest fish on record. Its teeth were about 3 times as large as those of the great white. There's no way to know for sure exactly how big the Megalodon was, but scientists believe they were around 34 feet, but could grow as long as 52 feet.
34 feet is not long enough.
If that's true, they would have been the largest fish ever. Given their size, everything was a potential snack. Dolphins, small whales, turtles, seals, it would eat them all.
It also had to compete with Lyopleuroda, though.
You'll surely be in agreement that these sharks are scarier than dinosaurs, because if they can eat whales, they would have surely eaten humans. Number 7. Quetzalcoatlus.
Okay, so I know this thing can fly, but if you don't provoke it, it will not even notice you. It should be majestic, not scary.
Anytime we see an eagle or another large bird flying through the sky, we stare up in awe. They look majestic, and some of us even quickly grab a camera to snap a photo or two. But imagine if it weren't just eagles in the sky, but dinosaurs.
Absolutely ridiculous. Quetzalcoatlus is a pterosaur. What you're seeing flying as of right now, you know, you're talking about eagles, they are dinosaurs. They are flying dinosaurs.
The Quetzalcoatlus was once the largest flying animal to have ever lived.
Everybody just forgets about Helicoprion.
It was from the late Cretaceous time period and was classed as a pterodactyloid pterosaur.
You called it a dinosaur. Okay then, there's no consistency over here. Glad you called it a pterosaur now, but there's no consistency.
Try saying that 3 times fast. They were toothless animals with long, stiff necks and would have stood with a wingspan of around 33 feet. Fossils show they may have even been as tall as a giraffe. But unlike birds, the Quetzalcoatlus wasn't.
What you're showing here does not look like a Quetzalcoatlus, at least to me. That could be wrong.
Exactly graceful. It also wouldn't win any beauty pageant awards. From what we've managed to work out through fossils, they would have had the body of a bat with feathers on it and the neck and head of a stork. We're taught from a young age that storks bring babies. But do you know what Quetzalcoatlus would have brought? Probably death.
Probably only to smaller prey. What you're showing here is just Quetzalcoatlus scavenging something. I don't think it would eat something that big, because there's no teeth to chew, just rip meat off.
Anything and everything to this animal was a source of food. Number 6. Thalatoarkin. If there's gonna be any animal scarier than the dinosaur, it would have to be a prehistoric sea monster called Thalatoarkin.
Of course, you had to call the sea monster as to frighten those 2-year-old kids and then make them your fans. No offense right there, please don't send hate.
Its name literally translates to the lizard-eating sovereign of the sea, which can't mean anything good. Scientists worked out that this 28-foot-long monster
Stop calling everything a monster, for God's sake.
Lived around 244 million years ago during the Triassic period.
Twice as big as most Jurassic Ocean predators.
They were one species of a group of reptiles that lived in the ocean alongside dinosaurs.
When the Thalatoarkin went extinct, dinosaurs didn't even exist yet.
But if there's one thing that made the Thalatoarkin stand out from the crowd, it was its diet. Based on fossil findings in Nevada, this creature was capable of eating prey its own size. Imagine eating someone the same size as you.
Does this guy know how human anatomy works?
It just doesn't seem possible. They survived the mass Permian extinction.
Thalatoarkin did not even exist during the Permian Triassic extinction, only first appeared in Middle Triassic around 247.2 million years ago. Although, to be fair, its ancestors probably survived the extinction events.
And thrived for around 160 million years after. Then, for some unknown reason, they died out.
Okay, so this video is just absolutely crazy. The last Titan lived from 247.2 to 242 million years ago.
Started declining in numbers toward the end of the Cretaceous period. We'd like to throw our 2 cents in and say that eating something the same size as you for dinner might have something to do with it. That surely can't be good for your health. Number 5. Hallucigenia.
How is it scarier than a dinosaur? It's so tiny in comparison.
In 1977, a man called Simon Conway Morris found an organism so strange that he thought he must be hallucinating. Such was his confusion at his find that he named it Hallucigenia.
Okay, so just because it's so freaky, it does not mean that it is terrifying, nightmare fuel.
Showing just how genuinely odd this creature was. And the confusion didn't stop with Simon. For decades, biologists have been studying fossils of the Hallucigenia, trying to find out whether its head is its tail or the tail is its head.
At this point, this guy is just dragging out videos just like how many bad paleontology videos just drag themselves out for so long in order to cash in.
Fortunately, thanks to our brilliant technology in the form of electronic microscopes, we have a better idea than ever before of what Hallucigenia actually is. It is thought that this creature existed about 540 million years ago during the Cambrian explosion.
It only first existed
During Cambrian Stage 3, which occurred 521 to 514 million years ago.
This time period is when there was a sudden burst of new biodiversity on Earth. The Hallucigenia has 2 modern descendants, which are 2 varieties of worm, and it has throat teeth on its legs, which is also alongside its jaw. They grew up to around 140 millimeters long.
It's just 5 to 55 millimeters long.
125 millimeters high, and had a tube-like body with 7 pairs of dorsal spines. Their ventral lobopod limbs had tiny little claws on the ends. And while this tiny critter wouldn't have been able to launch a savage attack on a human, its disturbing looks are enough to make us think that they're scarier than dinosaurs.
But it's so small, I wouldn't panic when I see a Hallucigenia. I would panic if I see something giant like a T-Rex. Although I would try not to scream or anything.
Number 4. Entilatant.
So you're just referring to the entire family of Entilatants.
There's a reason the Entilatant has "don't" in its name. We don't want to see it back here ever again.
No, the reason why it has the T is because its full name is Entelodontidae, which is an entire family of entelodonts. Some artiodactyls.
With the jaw of a crocodile, cloven hooves, and a hefty weight of around 2,000 pounds, we're not surprised it was called the Hell Pig.
What are you talking about? I can't correct you.
We're also not surprised that the genus it comes from, Diodon, means hostile and dreadful. The Entilatant really was. Its mouth full of teeth were all the better to eat you with, and its stocky frame with a hump made it robust enough to handle its own against predators. They went extinct around 19 million years ago.
The entelodontids went extinct around 16 million years ago.
But before then, they lived in Mongolia, Europe, and North America. The fossilized forms of the Entilatant are like that of dinosaurs.
I have absolutely no words to describe this dumb statement.
Their heads were giant, and they had deep-set eyes, a long snout, and massive teeth. Their heads took up over 1/3 of the total body mass, so we can only imagine how easy it was for them to chomp down on their prey. Still, scientists think that they used to wait for other animals to take down something, then they would scare them away and eat it themselves. So maybe they weren't so fearsome after all.
Okay, so as of now, this video is just Not good at all. Definitely one of the worst paleontology videos I've ever seen.
Just lazy. Number 3. Titanoboa.
We still have like over 4.5 minutes to go.
We've all seen those terrifying videos of snakes coming up through toilet bowls, or hanging out in your shoes by the front door. Those snakes are often small, but the blood-curdling screams you let out are still very valid. But what if that snake coming up through your sewer system or finding a quiet nook in your home was 42.7 feet long?
Would it simply break through the entirety of the toilet system thing because its body is just too wide? I don't know if it actually would. I would not be surprised if it would.
The Titanoboa, an extinct snake from between 66 and 56 million years ago, is definitely more terrifying than any dinosaur.
And this one was a genuine giant.
This nope rope lived during the Paleocene epoch and had an average body length of 42.7 feet. Note the word average. These things were massive. They weighed around 1.25 tons and are related to today's anacondas.
Titanoboa only had a mass of around 1,100 kilograms.
So far, scientists have found around 30 fossils from Titanoboas, and the majority have been adults. Even the smaller juvenile snakes were huge when you compare them to the average length of a 21.3-foot anaconda. There has never been a living snake found that's longer than 31.5 feet, which goes to show just how huge these snakes really were.
You mean how long those snakes really were?
Scientists think they may have spent a lot of time in the water, which would have made it easier for them to get around and source food.
Also, this clip, and I forgot some others, Titanoboa probably did not act like a boa constrictor. It probably acted more like an anaconda.
Number 2. Gorgonops. The Gorgonops is a therapsid that gets its name from the word gorgos, which means dreadful. We can't think of a more fitting name for this creature than that. Gorgonops lived about 255 to 250 million years ago around the late Permian period.
Gorgonops lived from 260 to 254 million years ago.
They were discovered in the 19th century in Africa and were given their name by Sir Richard Owen in 1876. This strange animal weighed as much as a cow and was as long as a great white shark.
That estimate is just wrong. Gorgonops reached from 1.2 to 2 meters long from nose to tail.
So about 10 feet long and 1,000 pounds. To be honest, there isn't a lot known about the Gorgonops so far, because very few fossils have been found to date. Still, they were probably a massive predator with giant teeth that could take down anything and everything that looked potentially snack-like.
During its time, sure.
While they weren't as large as dinosaurs, they did have a dinosaur-like appearance.
Does a Gorgonops, or any Gorgonopsid for that matter, look like a dinosaur to you?
Scientists also think that they may have been warm-blooded with fur, but sketches show them without hair. Even though there are a lot of unknowns, we know enough to be thankful that they're not here today. Number 1. Rhapsody.
Again, an entire family of creatures.
Ornithophobia is the fear of birds, which can be hard enough to deal with based on the current bird species we have. But imagine if the Rhapsody still existed. Those with the condition would never leave their homes.
So are you implying that these forest rackets just roam around everywhere?
Rhapsodies were terror birds that lived around 62 to 2 million years ago.
They lived from 53 million to 100,000 years ago.
They were flightless, carnivorous birds that would grow up to 10 feet tall.
I guess that only applies to something like a kalenkin.
Imagine scattering birdseed on your lawn, only to find a bird nearly twice the height of a human wandering onto your property to eat it. They were dominant predators in South America around the Cainozoic period.
You mispronounced Cenozoic. That's simple. This is just absolutely ridiculous.
And lived around the area of Texas to Florida.
You're only talking about Titanoboa that migrated north. Forest raccoons normally appeared in South America.
If their size wasn't a good enough reason for people to freak out, they were aggressive and fast. Scientists even think they could run at speeds of up to 30 miles per hour. So their name of terror birds is not exactly far-fetched. They also had pneumatic-like beaks that could puncture prey with the force of a sledgehammer.
Except a sledgehammer is not sharp.
There are a lot of scary animals out there, but we're pretty sure that the Rhapsody is definitely near the top of the list. Okay, we're not gonna lie, having some giant dinosaurs walking among us would be pretty cool, but these animals, not so much.
So you're just a regular fan of Jurassic Park that wants dinosaurs to be here. Actually, it would be extremely terrifying for dinosaurs to be here realistically because, you know, all those herbivores, like even Gallimimus or something, you provoke them and they will immediately attack you in the name of self-defense.
Which one sounded the scariest to you?
This is the end of the video. I heard that the next paleontology video I'm going to review is going to be
even worse, and I scrolled through it a little bit, and the list is just absolutely insane, and oh boy, we're gonna be for a wild ride next paleontology video. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. See you all next time.